Hi, everyone that has just joined us from the lobby. My name is DJ Lalama, the Athlete Relations Manager here at Bodylogix. We're just waiting on Desiree Scott to join us. There's a couple of technical glitches on her end, but as soon as those are fixed up, she will be able to join us and we'll get this thing started. We really appreciate you guys taking the time. And I think she's on her way in. Desiree Scott, I think you're in here. Where's the woman of the hour? Oh, Desi, I think you're in there.
There we go. I've been unmuted.
There you are, Desi. How are you?
Hey, doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. We're still going to give a couple minutes here just for everyone to tune in. We have some familiar faces actually from the pro prep side of things as well in here. But very excited, obviously, to have you as our next guest for the Athlete Answer here with Bodylogix. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, no, this is going to be great. Thanks for having me. Happy to do it.
Absolutely. I guess while we're waiting for a few people to tune in, how's things been? Obviously, a quick whirlwind for you. Team Canada playing a couple matches this past week. How's the jet lag, I guess?
No jet lag. We're all good, you know? It was only an hour time difference, although I seem to have felt it. But no, it was great to play on home soil again. It's been since 2019 since we've been able to play in front of our own fans. So always nice to see the sea of red, you know, our own town fans. It was really great.
That's awesome. Who's got the better fans, Ottawa or Montreal?
You know what? I'm going to say Montreal. They came out. There was about half the amount of people there, and they were so loud. It was like incredible. The chants, all the they had the wave going. It was really dope.
That's that inner French. They like to be loud and boisterous for sure.
Hey, for sure, for sure.
That's awesome. How's everything else going? Things are good in KC. I guess your last game next week.
Or yes,
this weekend.
This weekend, yeah, we're wrapping up the season. Unfortunately, our team did not make playoffs, so we're finishing off the regular season here on Saturday, and it's back to the peg for the off season. Back home. Yeah.
Are you excited?
I'm pumped. I love Winnipeg. Everyone knows that about me. Except I always tend to come home when it's cold, which I don't love, but
I was gonna say it's actually been pretty nice here, so I think the weather is trying to be nice and welcome you back with rainbows and sunshine versus -30. So
yeah, it was a snowstorm last Halloween, so as long as there's no snow, I'm cool.
Are you making it back for trick or treating or what?
No, unfortunately not.
No trick or treating for Desi.
No, I'll eat all the candy though.
Since we do have some people in, again, for those that don't know, obviously, this is the one and only Destroyer, Desiree Scott, a very proud Team Bodylogix athlete, but obviously one of Canada's heroes and soccer heroes for that matter. Myself, my name is DJ Lalama, the Athlete Relations Manager here at Bodylogix. We're proud to obviously be partnered with Desiree and give her a bit of a platform here to tell her story. You know, to give us a little bit of a behind the scenes version, if you will, of the road to gold and what that was like. Obviously, all the adversity, the hard work, the dedication that went into getting to the Olympics finally after a year delay, and how things are going in Kansas City and everything in between. So without further ado, maybe Desi, I'll let you introduce yourself to those that are on the call so far. And as others join, I'll just admit them and we can move forward.
Totally. Hello, everybody. Super happy to be here. Desiree Scott, as DJ said, member of the Canadian Women's National Soccer Team, professional player for Kansas City WSO. Yeah, just super excited to give you guys a little taste into what life has been since COVID hit, post-Olympics, pre-Olympics, and all of, like DJ said, the in-between. And yeah, just happy to take the time and share this story with you.
Fantastic. And just so everyone knows that's on the call, just so that we don't get, call it too confused with the unmuting and the muting and some background noise, we want this to be as engaging and as interactive as possible. So if you have any questions, comments, we do have a couple Bodylogix members that are kind of paroling the chat. So if you have any questions that you would like Desi to answer, feel free to leave those in the chat or the comment box, and we'll be able to address those as we make our way through the discussion. I have to start off, Desi, and ask, I know people get it a lot. Not many soccer players have nicknames the way that you do, but the Destroyer. Yeah, exactly. One of those flex on them. But I'd love for you just to kind of, where did that come from? How did it, come to be? Obviously, has it stuck with you for the last 15 years? And give us just a little bit of insight of where that, originated from.
15 years, you're aging me there. Rising since I was 12, but yes, been in the game a minute. And I actually love being called the Destroyer. It's very opposite of who I am off field. I'm quite bubbly, easygoing, but on field, I find I go into a different mode, Destroyer mode, as they say. I think it just replicates sort of the style of play that I perform on the pitch. I love a good tackle. I love to get stuck in, body on the line. I don't shy away from those things. I like to kind of be that cleaner, that sweeper upper for the team, breaking up play, just keeping my game quite simple. But I love winning the ball off the opposition and then giving it to the magicians ahead of me. And I got the nickname in 2012. My coach, John Herdman, at the time for the national team was like, she's destroying them out there. And it stuck in an interview. And ever since, the Destroyer was born. So, yeah.
Trademark that, by the way. Just trademark it. I almost got to think, just being a football player myself, it almost, you like that physicality. It's something that you don't always see, but I think, your teammates and obviously your opponents can respect the way that you treat the back line and, the way that you play the game. It's a little old school, if you will, but I think it's appreciated for sure.
Yeah, I think you need that sort of blend on a team. You want the people who can work their magic. You want the people who are physical. So I find our Canadian team and for my club, I find every team needs a Destroyer, if you will. And I could be biased because I'm the one saying it, but you need one of those people who are going to just put their body on the line and win the ball for your team.
Hey, well, speaking as a Canadian fan, obviously we're very appreciative of that effort and dedication. So moving on here, obviously when it comes to soccer as a whole, you've had a storied career, one full of accolades, medals, success, but obviously there's been some trial and tribulations as we've made our way through. I guess a couple things, I'd like to kind of talk about soccer specifically and your journey within that sport. But what does it mean right now in 2021 to be a female in the game of soccer?
Yeah, I think it's massive. It's kind of, you see this awakening of women's sport and people wanting to put women's sport for it to get the appreciation and recognition that it deserves. There's a lot of light on women's sport right now. And I think it's fantastic to be a part of a team that, one, is doing well, but also just wants to change the game for the better, especially for female athletes who are either getting involved in the grassroots or just in terms of ourselves getting the recognition and, sort of viewership that we deserve and that we want to see. So it's an exciting time. I think a lot of changes are happening in the women's game. You see more investment, more people watching. Our Olympic game was one of the most watched events this past summer. So people are interested, which is exciting. It's now just sort of pairing that with investment and people backing the sport and women's sport in general. And for us, myself personally, to be a role model to try and pave the way and help make the sport better is something that I take a lot of pride in, and I'm happy to do.
Okay, so if that's what you take pride in, we have actually a question already from one of the attendees here. How can fans and supporters of both the Destroyer and obviously women's soccer as a whole, how can we support you and the rest of the national team in kind of that quest to get our own league up here in Canada?
Yes, that is definitely something we're pushing for. We're one of the few teams in the top 10 that don't have a professional league within Canada. And, you want to be what you can see. And we find it so important to be able to see, the Christine Sinclairs, the Jessie Flemings, the future of what these young soccer players or athletes in general. You want to be able to see that in your backyard. So that's something we hopefully are pushing and working towards. For fans, I think it's just honestly making it known that you want a league in Canada. You would come out and support us. Tell your friends, if you know investors, get them on board. Honestly, word of mouth works, beyond belief, if you can imagine. And I think just continue to tune in to women's sport. Demand, on Twitter, social media is huge. You see us retweeting stuff, retweet our tweets. Just getting that traction, really letting the world know that people want to see women's sports and we deserve it. And I think the fans, have been so supportive so far and just pushing our messaging out and supporting what we have right now and in the future would be fantastic.
I think that domino effect is a real thing. It only takes one, and then it just starts to go. And I think on that note, then, with all this exciting, news around obviously soccer specifically, but obviously, like you said, the spotlight is on the female athletics across the board. What does that mean for you right now? I guess in a bit of a, I'm not going to call you the youngest member of the team. I'm not going to call you the oldest. But as someone that has a lot of experience, what does that mean to be a mentor for this next generation that may be able to walk into a situation completely different than what you had as you entered, call it the national team, professional ranks, etc. What does that mean to mentor that next generation right now, given all the positive, things that are happening?
Totally. I mean, what a time to be like a young 20-something-year-old coming into the game. Like my professional club here just announced brand new stadium, brand new training facility. Like these are things you want as an elite athlete, and you're starting to see people invest in the game. We have players on our national team who are starting off their national careers with a gold medal or a bronze medal behind their back. So like they're coming in the program, and it's nice to have been a part of the national team for a decade to see where it was and the progress that we've made over this past 10 years on and off the field. And I think just being able to be a part of that and see the change that's happening is really a powerful thing. It's great for women's sports.
It is for sure. And I guess, now that I don't want to say we're looking at COVID in the rearview mirror just yet. I don't want to jinx anybody that's on the call here. Yeah, exactly. Knock on wood for me. But what was it? Or I guess, in terms of passion, I mean, there's obviously one part of that being on the pitch itself, and the passion that it takes to step within those white lines and compete. But when you have that taken away from you or for anybody on this call, what was it that kind of, pushed you through, all that adversity and the barriers maybe to actual training to get you guys in a position to succeed at the Olympic level?
Yeah, we kind of look back. We had some of these discussions with our national team just reuniting after Tokyo, and we were like, the year that we've had leading up to that to then get to the top of a podium, it's like ridiculous. To have sport canceled across the world, like in general and in life, the world took a hit with COVID. And to have the postponement of the Olympics, we're professional athletes, so we kind of devote ourselves to those big pinnacle events. And to have that canceled, you're like, so what now? Like, you kind of lose a bit of your purpose. For me anyways, I was like, my day-to-day was not geared towards anything. It was just a big unknown. It was like, do I get up and go for a run today? And that motivation was wavered. Some days I didn't want to do anything. And other days I was like, I just need to get out and like do some intervals and touch a soccer ball. So it was like a very weird roller coaster for me. But luckily, like I said, I'd be a terrible individual sport athlete. I am a team sport for a reason. And I know like everyone on my team, one was super supportive, two was either in a similar situation. And just that community and support that we had within our team really kept each other going. And like the days where we didn't want to do anything, that was okay. And I knew other people on my team were feeling that. And then we were able to like spark, some motivation within each other. Like we wanted to stay ready in case the Olympics were going to happen, which they did. So yeah, that network of support was fantastic through all of it. I mean, reach out to your friends, reach out to your circle. It was massive for me mentally, motivation wise, really just kept me going through the highs and lows of COVID and trying to prepare for something that you didn't know was going to happen.
No, for sure. I mean, it's always the toughest laid plan, right? Something that you can't prepare for. But I think knowing that, where we're going now post COVID, and I guess we all have a little bit of a sense on what that landscape looks like. I guess on the flip side, how would you approach it if you were a coach, right, for young females or males in this sport right now, call it 11, 12, 13, 14, really in those formative years? What would you say to a coach to help kind of persevere and push through, obviously those crucial years, but coming off of some time off? What would be your recommendation?
Yeah, I mean, one, reminding people, why they play the sport that they do. I think for me, having been sport removed and kind of taken away and locked down and not being able to play and hang out with my friends, like I've found a new appreciation for the sport, and being able to get out on a soccer pitch, like to put on my cleats was something that made me smile again. So I think it's one, reminding players, like a year ago, we weren't in this situation. We weren't as fortunate. So coming back onto the pitch, just reminding players why they do what they do, reminding them for the love of the sport. And I think keeping it fun and light as you're coming back, just getting comfortable again back into those routines, because none of what we did was routine during that first year of COVID. It was definitely had to show some resilience and be adaptable. So just kind of keep it light and fun as people, start to come back to sport. And then, I think just remembering, you don't know what you have till it's taken away. And that was kind of the biggest message for me was, man, I still love this sport and enjoying and appreciating every moment I get to play it.
No, for sure. I think we all know, right? No matter what sport it is now, it's truly a privilege to play it. And it's, I think something we just think, oh, we're going to get involved and play and no one can take it away from us. No one may be able to, but COVID or a pandemic can. And I think you hit the nail on the head. You don't know what you have until it's gone. And now you cherish those times a little bit more.
100%.
Okay. So obviously through COVID, this may have changed a little bit, but I'd love for you to give our audience a little bit of a sneak peek into the life of Desiree Scott, the day to day, what that looks like. Maybe if we can, maybe an off-season day, right? So like the training regimen, the nutrition, the hobbies, the social life, the coaching that you do back home, and then maybe give us a sneak peek what that, maybe day in the life of Olympics and or pro season would look like, just to be able to contrast the two for those listening.
Yeah. So, there's no real off switch when you're a professional athlete, unfortunately. I'm big on everything, in moderation and life balance. That's me specifically. So I think I work hard and I also play hard. That's just a motto that I think has kept me going in the game for so long. Being able to enjoy life, but also recognizing that this is my job and I'm fortunate to call myself a pro athlete and making sure that I'm prepared as well. So on like an off-season day, we're still training like 5 days a week, which is great, keeping me in it. So yeah, we do, especially soccer specific, we do a lot of conditioning and cardio work, whether that's on a treadmill if you're in Winnipeg and it's snowing outside, invest in some good indoor equipment. I've got we do strength training twice a week. Then obviously the nutrition side of things, you've got to keep your body, you fuel it like a car. You give your car terrible gas, it's going to not work on you. So for us, it's really just finding that balance, remembering to eat the right things, simple, good carbs, fuel those muscles, but then, treating yourself as well, especially in the off season. I find that's the time to do it. For sure, recovering with my Bodylogix. Hello.
There you go.
Getting my whey protein, obviously, and as athletes, we're busy, and I get my MRP replacement shake in the morning if I'm off to the gym. Like it's just you kind of adapt your schedule in the off season to what you're doing and how much you're training. It's obviously a bit of a lighter load, but having pro club and national team, we kind of only get December off, so we are going year round essentially. So
no
it's
season for you.
No off season, no off days, but no, I try and find some for sure because I think getting those days away from the game and just having some time for yourself is super important as well. For
sure. Okay, now flipping it to in season. Now I'm gonna let a cat out of the bag and maybe you can hit on it. You are also, outside of being known as the Destroyer, you're also known as the Destroyer of Pancakes on game day. So maybe I'll let you throw that in there with your game day routine, if you will.
Totally, yeah. So game day routine, obviously, as DJ alluded to, it's become a real superstition on the national team, and I've now brought it back to my club. Everywhere I go, it's like pancakes follow me. It's quite hilarious, but we have to have pancakes with maple syrup on game day. Our team travels with the mix in our bag. Doesn't matter where in the world we are. Like the chef knows pancakes on game day. It's a superstition, but also a great fueling option. Simple carbs, a little sugar, and it's delicious. So you can't go wrong. And we usually do like a walk and stretch, get loose before the game, especially if it's an evening game. I get my nap in, clutch, key to success for this one. Enough Z's. And then, game time, we go out and smash it. Game days are usually pretty chill, but in season, again, we're going 6 days a week, usually a game on the weekend. And just like our training will fluctuate dependent on how the game is, how many games in a month we have. Again, strength training, interval training, position-specific work, stuff on the field, stuff in the gym, all the time.
All the time. It just never stops, eh? We do have one question while we're on the pancake topic, I guess. Is it plain pancakes or do you mix something in there just for a little extra kick?
It's usually what I mean, I'm not in the kitchen whipping it up, but it's like your classic pancake. I'm sure we add the maple syrup, fresh berries and sliced strawberries. I usually add on there some sliced banana and then some eggs usually on the side. And that's
Okay.
boom. And don't forget, like we have a bowl of pasta as well. Like game day for me is like carb load central. I'm like, best day of the week. I know I'm about to run for 90 minutes. So, you need that fuel.
Hey, you heard it here first. Pancakes are okay on game day.
Yes, they
Um,
are.
I guess with that, being said, and the different training regimens, and the fact that you don't really have any time off, I guess for a lot of youth athletes as well, right? I mean, between outdoor and indoor, you may really only have a couple weeks before you transition into the next phase. Um, I guess in terms of training, let's separate on-field soccer-specific training for a second, and the gym, right? The speed training, all the extra kind of supplemental work. What would you recommend in terms of frequency, maybe for both? And maybe let's start us at like a U11, kind of age. And how do those, I guess, allotments change as you get older and you progress, call it, to more competitive competitions?
Yeah, I mean, obviously finding that balance is super key. I've obviously had some great trainers that have helped me along the way to plan my programming and kind of just follow it. But obviously at the U11 age, U12, you're starting to get introduced into sort of more of the strength-based workouts, especially in an off season, maybe transitioning from outdoor into the indoor season. That's maybe when you can incorporate a bit more of that strength-based work. Outdoor, obviously, that's kind of what you prep for. That's more sort of that cardio-based endurance type work where you're on field more and you're getting more sessions in. So for me, like when I'm prepping for outdoor, it's a lot of endurance, cardio. Building up that strength is usually when I do that in the off season, where I really am hitting the gym a bit more than I may be on field. Yeah.
No, good points. I think all the young athletes on here can take that away and make sure they focus now heading into the winter a little bit more on the gym, right? And it'll serve you well, come spring.
Exactly.
All right, so obviously you have a really unique perspective. There's not many athletes, I guess, that are kind of full-time members of two teams. Obviously, you have the Canadian national team on one end, and obviously that's a blessing and kind of the pinnacle of soccer. And then you also have your pro team, which is obviously your livelihood in a lot of ways. So let's start with Canada first. Obviously earning that gold medal, it's the topic of discussion, let's say, across the country still. A couple of months removed. But how did you first get noticed by that women's national team, taking you back a couple of years here? Not very many, but a couple. And, I guess if you can, single out two or three of those most fond memories along the way, the best moments, is it, I mean, obviously the gold medal, but, what are those other moments that really stick out to you for that Canadian women's national team membership?
Yeah, so for me, sort of the journey, obviously I'm born and raised Manitoban, and I honestly went through the soccer system. I played locally within the club program, played for FC Northwest. Shout out to anybody that's on the call that may play for them. And then I went into we had a regional training center, which is now maybe the Rex program, equivalent to that. We would travel to Edmonton every 5 weeks, and that was kind of like they would pick sort of your creamier crop from Manitoba, and you would go there, and that's when the national team sort of coaches would come in and sort of scout you, and you would get a player rating, and they would see you'd play 2 games in a weekend and then fly back home every 5 weeks. That's kind of when I got my first sort of nod and started getting invited into the youth teams. Then I went to, obviously I'm a Manitoba Bison. I'm really fast forwarding here. So yeah, represented Manitoba on the provincial level and obviously played locally within the soccer system that's there. Regional training center, but yeah, I also am a homebody big time. And so I played my university career right in Winnipeg, Manitoba, right over there at I wish it was IGF. See, the game's growing. Those are the dreams. I would have loved to have played at that place. Anyways, we played on a field just outside of that. But yeah, I went to a club nationals and I was in university. I'd taken a break from youth teams and I thought the national team was maybe done for me to be on the senior level. And in 2009, I went to a club nationals in Saskatchewan, of all places, and a national team coach was in the stands. Didn't have an idea about it, and I just heard national team coach Carolina Marache, and I wasn't even meant to play. I had pulled my quad, and I just remember looking at my coach beside me, and he's like, "You got to get on the pitch." And I was like, "Okay." So I wrapped it up, took a couple Advil and like went on for 45 minutes and luckily made enough of an impact that I got invited into my first national team camp 2 months later. So you never know where an opportunity is going to arise or where people are watching. So put your best foot forward any chance you can, because you don't know who's in those stands.
That's a good point. And we just had a question come in too. I mean, obviously there's a ton of different programs, right? Some big, some small, some travel dependent, some local. For yourself, I guess, if you're looking back, I know the game has changed. Would you suggest maybe that there is opportunity to be noticed all the time? And, call it those like big tournaments where everyone would have to come together and scouts would only go there. Do you need that as much anymore? Or do you think that there's a lot more scouting going on just in the day-to-day, of play?
Yeah, I definitely think from when I was 13 to now, I think there's a lot more word of mouth, a lot of coaches and affiliations within different clubs and programming that talk to one another and can sort of recognize who those strong players are within clubs and within provinces. Obviously, you have your university coach who comes out, they're right in the city. They have scouts that are in the stands that you don't know about, and it's definitely growing. I do think that the more and more opportunities are arising these days from being at a practice. You don't know who's watching sometimes. Like they could literally be scouting you right there. So the big tournaments are obviously, sort of that clutch moment where for sure there's going to be some coaches, but you're seeing more and more that word of mouth is happening within top clubs. And then that's feeding up through the youth systems, through to the national team. So yeah, lots of opportunity for future generations for sure.
That's awesome. And I have to now go to the quest for the gold. I remember talking to you pre-Olympics, and it was like, this whole flying out to China and this and that. And there was so much unknown and just, I don't want to say uneasy, but as an athlete, we all like to have things planned. We like to have a regiment. We like to go forward with stuff that's comfortable so that we can perform our best. Obviously, that wasn't really the case. You weren't able to do that heading into the Olympics. So I think for everyone on here, we'd love to hear not the 20 chapter version, but maybe the 3 chapter version synopsis on what this experience was like. And then obviously capturing gold at the end, you can speak on all of that.
Totally. In a nutshell, yeah. So yes, COVID hit, postponement of the Olympics. I just remember like headlines going across my cell phone, like sports has been canceled. And I just remember that in my head as like a big sort of headline. And I was like, oh my goodness. And we obviously have a group chat with our national team and we're talking, we're like, is this actually being canceled? Boom, it's canceled and maybe postponed. And then I'm in Winnipeg for 8 months. Literally, we're in the middle of COVID lockdown. It's obviously winter months are coming in. There's obviously not a ton of soccer pitches available outside. So like finding somewhere to train. And I was literally in my basement for 8 months. I had to invest in like the best gym equipment I could, a treadmill, a 5x5 space where I could kick a soccer ball off my wall, weights, skipping ropes, a punching bag. Like I literally had to adapt my training program completely to what I'm used to. And that's kind of what you just have to do in those moments. Fast forward to 2021, we get our first camp, and normally our national team, we spend like 10 months of the year together, or you're in a professional environment. So none of us were really in those environments because we couldn't play. So we're all sort of in our own separate individual spaces trying to makeshift, stay ready with what you had. And luckily we had a great coaching staff that was able to adapt our programming to what we needed based on our environments. But we're normally together all the time. So to have that completely removed and be training on your own for 9 months is kind of unheard of, especially for a professional athlete who's trying to go and be at the top of a podium. We go to a tournament for the first time in a year. We've been a year apart. Come January, we played the She Believes Cup in the US. Was so great to see everyone. Like I was in the meeting, like, what's that? Like team sport, man. You love the people. Like they genuinely are family. So to be reunited after a year apart was great. And it was kind of like, okay, Tokyo 2021, and let's prep for it. So we had 6 months to prepare. Normally you have sort of years building into those things. So it was like crunch time. How can we make the most of every minute we have on the grass? Because it's few and far between. Played that tournament, got some quality matches in, and that was our second last camp before Tokyo prep. We got together in May, just before Tokyo, and we just started to build on our connection, build them things on the pitch, fill all the gaps that we maybe had lost over the past year not being together. Then fast forward to Tokyo, one of the craziest tournaments, if you guys tuned in and watched, it was the tournaments of the PK, like the most stressful tournament I've ever been involved in. Again, been in the game for a minute. I've never felt such emotion in my life, the highs, the lows, the stress. And for those who don't know me personally, I despise PKs. So like, I'll never take one. I'll fake an injury before I like get asked to take one. So to have so many PKs and shootouts, it was like stress city for me. I just remember like crossing my fingers, closing my eyes, like just hoping. Obviously, everyone knows Steph Labbe was a boss in between those posts, super confident, and just there was something so unique about our team and how we rallied together, and we had that belief that we could achieve something. Everyone goes to Tokyo or to an Olympic, not everyone, it's a huge accomplishment, so I'm not going to deny that, but you go to a tournament saying you want to win gold and be on the podium, and our team genuinely believed that we could do it, but I don't think it was an easy tournament for us. You watched it. There was a lot of trials. There was a lot of highs and lows, PKs. We weren't scoring a ton of goals. We were getting fouled and we were getting, PKs off of that. Our journey was not easy to the top of the podium, which I think makes it that much more special. You're coming off COVID, not being together. Everyone, in different situations, getting back together, that reignited passion for the game, and then going into a major tournament like that. And our group of death, we had a tough pool. So it was a journey, and obviously playing the Americans in the semifinal, like ridiculous, like just so many moments that I remember, especially that game. And me, it was like my bucket list to beat the Americans and to do it in a semifinal to go to gold. People ask like, what was better, winning gold or beating them? And I'm like, tough call. So yeah, we go to the gold medal match, first time in history, and our motto for the team was like change the color of the medal. And so winning that semifinal, we made history in that. We have back-to-back bronzes, which is fantastic. But to know we were going for gold was just a dream absolutely come true. And we knew in that moment, like we're going all the way or nothing. Silver ain't it for me. And yeah, again, a game of just craziness, extra time. Like I remember wringing out my jersey. It was 40 degrees Celsius, like just so hot. My shorts were falling off me because I was dripping in so much sweat. But yeah, Julia Grosso steps up to the plate, last shot of the game after extra time, PKs, misses, saves, everything you could want in a game happened in that match. And when that goal went in the back of the net, I just remember being like, yeah. Like you've seen the photos, if you follow me on social media, of my veins popping out of my neck. I've never felt such elation, such pride, such joy, and something that we've never accomplished before. So I'm just so incredibly proud to be a part of that team.
You guys definitely made history, and then some. But the entertainment value, if you will, was well worth it during your quest. And I can probably speak for a lot of those on the call. A couple sleepless nights. Those games are happening kind of middle of the morning here, and you're trying to stay up, and you guys didn't make it easy to get
to our fans. Already with the time change, it was early mornings, and then the stress of each game just nail biting for sure. So apologies for that.
No, I guess in terms of that Team Canada bit, I know you have a sense of humor yourself, and obviously there's a couple characters on the team. What is the funniest moment that you've experienced in the last year in prepping for the Olympics?
The funniest moment. Wow. We have a lot of fun on the team. I got to say, there's a lot of jokesters. The funniest moment. Man, I can't even pinpoint one. I think just like the little day-to-day stuff in training, like people getting pegged in the face with the ball, like falling to the ground. Some of the inside jokes we have, like in our locker room, the dance parties, and me trying to get people off their seats and dance with me and not having success. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of little things that you remember.
You are the head of the dance crew. That's for sure. Yeah, there you go. Okay, moving on to south of the border now. So we'll move on to kind of the KC bit. Again, professional team, you kind of spoke on what that new stadium means, right? Obviously, I mean, it's one thing to be able to go in and use it and play out of there, but I think the broader meaning of what that investment means to not only the team, but the game, the league, et cetera, I think that's awesome. But take us through that relocation. It's been a whirlwind. I mean, COVID itself is experience.
Yeah, sorry, you glitched out a little bit there. Not sure if that was my internet, but.
Oh, can you walk us through kind of that relocation, and what that was like for you as an individual athlete?
Totally, yeah. Being a pro athlete, like you think you have you sort of that security but you're really living out your suitcase. And we found out that we were going to be relocated to Kansas City. This was where my pro career started in 2013. We got relocated from here originally to Utah, and now we were coming sort of back to Kansas City. It's like it's come full circle, but it's a stressful time for sure, not knowing sort of where you're going to live at. You're packing up the bags, you're kind of just, again, like living out of the seat of your pants. It's quite wild and stressful, but then you remember that you love the sport and this is kind of just how it works. And I'm happy to be back in Kansas City. Sad to have left the fans in Utah. We had a fantastic professional setup there. But as you said, with that new stadium here, the way the owners are investing in the women's game here, they truly have a passion to lead by example and show that they are willing to invest in women's sport, and we're doing it with this team. And you're seeing that with the investment in the facilities. We want to feel like pros, and they're really setting that scene up for us here. It's fantastic.
Yeah, no doubt. And I guess obviously, you don't have to look far to see the strength of the league, and where it's obviously started to where it is now. I mean, it's night and day. What are some of those best moments or highlights of being a member of that league in your time there?
For me, I think it's just, playing against some of the best players in the world and the challenges that it brings on a day-to-day. No game here is easy. I do think this is one of the best leagues in the world. It's so competitive. But like playing against Marta, I'm a huge fan and being able to go have to defend my butt off against her in Orlando. Those are the moments you kind of remember on field of playing against one of the GOATs. And playing against some of my Canadian teammates, playing Portland against Sinky. We have little banter on the pitch. I'm like, don't go do GOAT-like things today. And she'll laugh and then she'll score a banger and I get annoyed. But it's cool to see that transition from the national team to then just your day-to-day environment and being able to play against those top players. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, no, you guys have a great group in the NWSL. I mean, obviously we're super fortunate to work with you guys, Bodylogix is, and, just seeing, I mean, character, the talent, the personability of everyone involved. I mean, it's so special, and it's exciting to see that you guys are finally kind of getting that spotlight on you that you deserve. And I know you say that you get to play against the GOATs. I think a lot of people playing against you probably think the same thing. So give yourself a little credit there.
Oh, well, bless your heart.
Okay, so outside of Margaritaville, what's the favorite part of Kansas City?
Favorite part of Kansas City? I wouldn't say it's my favorite part, but I love barbecue. Anything pulled pork or ribs. Kansas is known for their barbecue. You can go to a gas station and have the best barbecue of your life. And I say Kansas is like Winnipeg with better barbecue, and I really believe that. So and of course I like to eat, so I'm going to go with the barbecue.
Let's do that when you're Italian and you're coming out, hey?
I know. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno, yes. One question from the audience here. I guess if you can, the top item that comes to mind, what is the one thing that you wish you knew before going pro?
One thing I wish I knew. It's a great question. One thing I wish I knew. Tough.
You want to come back to it?
We'll come back. I'll percolate on that one.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, let's transition. So I think as many have seen, in the last 2 years, adversity is real. And for a lot of us, we don't let adversity define us, but how we handle that adversity will, kind of define your character. And I think, you've spoken to a little bit in terms of, being isolated, the 5x5, basically playing tag with your brother down in the basement as part of your cardio routine, stuff like that. But what are some of the most adverse times outside of COVID that you've had to overcome in your career?
Yeah. Obviously injury is a big one. I haven't had any major injuries, but I've been out for a couple of months, and I think just finding that, bounce back ability to want to get fit again, to find that inner motivation and fire when you're down in the dumps and away from the game, I think has been hard. I've been pretty fortunate to have a strong support team who helps me bounce back pretty quickly. And for me, it's just it's been being the lone Winnipegger on my team, and just having to do things on my own. I think sometimes you don't credit yourself for what you are having to do when you don't have someone watching, or someone knocking on your door, picking you up to go for those workouts. And I think that accountability piece, I think, is just something that sometimes gets overlooked, but is something that's really hard to do, to set that alarm, go to the gym twice a day, to fuel yourself right when no one is there to keep you accountable. So, yeah.
Okay, is that now in terms of that overcoming adversity bit? Obviously, everyone, right, that has obviously been through their own, challenges as well. And I think the team atmosphere, like you said, a team sport kind of helps, you overcome those in a lot of ways. If you're looking back right now and you said, okay, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, if you could, what would you tell yourself? Kind of what the journey that you have upcoming?
I would tell myself that it is going to be a journey, and that you are going to face adversity, and the road is not just even keeled and smooth. For me, looking back at some of the bumps and, things I've had to get over, whether it's family, outside of soccer commitments, having to balance life and the sport, I would you make yourself feel that much better knowing you can look back and realize, okay, I've achieved this because of what I had to go through. I'm stronger for it. I have a story to tell. I've gotten through things, and here I am achieving my dreams and being successful, and still playing the sport I love. So just telling myself that the road's not going to be easy, nor does it make it that much. Having it hard makes it more enjoyable when you're looking back on the journey. If it was all easy, I don't think I'd be as happy with how it had gone. Looking back.
For sure. And I think one thing that you said before, a real big quote that actually, I think it's your own, but you have to celebrate those small victories, and you got to celebrate yourself. And I think sometimes, we see that end goal, the big picture, and, we work so hard to get there, right? The sacrifices, the dedication, the work ethic, et cetera, the time. But sometimes it overshadows a little bit of that journey and kind of just enjoying the process. Okay. And one thing that you've always mentioned is, you have that big goal, and now work backwards and kind of chalk up those little celebrations and moments along the way, so that, it's not all work, right? You can take a moment, take a deep breath, enjoy what you've already achieved, and then you can understand what you have to overcome, in the days ahead.
Exactly.
And I think that's something that you've really always, stuck to, and I think it shows in your play. Okay, in terms of, I guess, call it coaching side again, right? Evaluating talent. Because I know we have some young players on the call. Sometimes you get that bigger is better, whether it's in terms of stature, whether it's in terms of joining a specific club. How does someone like yourself, obviously, as let's call it a little bit of a smaller statured player, overcome that perception and change a decision maker's mind, right? I mean, obviously you have your own nickname, and you're a little bit of this on the pitch, but is that what you kind of went to in order to kind of overcome maybe the lack of height or size at the time?
Yeah, for me growing up, it was a bit of this sort of old school mindset that a quality athlete has to be 5'11", 5'10", 6 feet tall, and I'm 5'1.5". So I was not hitting those marks, and I was actually cut from my provincial team because they were like, oh, well, she doesn't really fit the mold. And for me, now looking back, I'm like, thank you for that. And obviously these are things you learn over time. It's not something you can necessarily think in the moment, but for me, I allowed sort of that setback to fuel my fire to want to prove that you don't need to be a certain type. You don't need to have a certain body type, a certain height. Let your play prove itself and speak for itself on the field. So for me, it was just, can I be my best me on the day, no matter what club I'm at, no matter what environment I'm in? and just show who Desiree Scott is, because nobody else can be me, essentially. Any athlete I try and tell, I'm like, only you can be you. So be you to the best of your ability. You don't need to be anybody else but yourself, and just bring your best self every day. So that's something that I've learned. I tell myself, anyone I coach, that's kind of the message I push through. Coaches are obviously going to have certain ideas in their brains of who they want and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, you can only be you. So why not be the best you and bring that, show that on the pitch or whatever sport you do play, and do it proudly, because only you can be you.
I love it. It's a good thing we're recording this, because I'm definitely gonna take that excerpt, that bit. That's gonna be a Monday motivation for sure on our feed. That's awesome. Okay, so obviously you and I have a great relationship. Something that's obviously formed, I think, based on location initially, but you're kind of like that older sister to me now, and I feel fortunate to have you on the call here for everyone else to kind of get a glimpse into the behind the scenes of Desiree Scott. Two big questions, I guess, or maybe three, depending on how you answer the second one. For you, like you said, right, obviously I don't want to say you're in the pinnacle of your career. I don't want to say you're on the way out. I think you have lots of tread left on those tires. That's my personal opinion, and your play would say the same. But if things are starting to slow down for you a little bit, kind of in the wean years of the career, what do you really want your legacy to be?
Just some deep questions, DJ.
Question.
Pulling on the heartstrings here. My legacy. Wow, good question. Yeah, I mean, I hope that people could just see, when they think of Desiree Scott in the sport, it's like my passion and love for it. I hope that exudes and shines through. I really do pride myself on being a good human as well as a good athlete, and I hope they can say, like, not only was she a great soccer player, but she was a great human being as well, like a great person who gives back, who just wants to make the sport better, and you can feel that passion shining through. When you talk to me or you watch me play, hopefully that's something that shines through, and really just wanting to make the sport better, especially for female athletes. I think, there's so many females dropping out of sport, losing love for the game, and I want to just instill that and make the sport better, more known, more opportunities for females especially, and hopefully can help lead that way and wherever I end up.
Yeah, you've been a trailblazer and then some, and you've definitely left the sport better than you found it. So, I mean, kudos to you, obviously, and all the work you've put in. And I guess, instead of looking in the rearview mirror with that previous question, for those, I guess, younger, right, that are on the call, take us back and what does it mean to dream, right? Like, what does it mean to dream of all these big aspirations, those big goals, a pro career, Olympics, medals, now that you've been on both sides, what does it really mean to dream, for those that are listening?
I mean, I've always said dream big. And even when I sign autographs, I'm like, dream big. And it sounds cliche, but like, if you can't see that for yourself, it's not going to be possible. You're already setting yourself short. So I think go and aim high. If you want to be a professional, have that in the back of your mind, because that dictates your day-to-day behaviors that can get you there. And I think having that end goal and that vision and what you can see yourself doing, whether that's, being the next Christine Sinclair, the next, I think you've got to see that and be able to watch it and know that it's a possibility, because it's driven my day-to-day, and I think it drives your passion and what you do and the decisions you make to hopefully get you there one day. So, I mean, when I was 8 years old, I didn't dream of maybe being an Olympic athlete, but I started to see as my career unfolded, like, okay, here's an opportunity. Oh, there's a pro league. Maybe I can do that. And you start to see the different opportunities that are in front of you, and it fuels that fire for you to want to work harder. So especially now in this day and age, 2021, women's sports are booming. There are leagues available. We still need one in Canada, but there's opportunities for females to go play the sport, and you call it your job. Like, I'm so dang lucky to be able to do this every day, and I'm just, playing the sport I love. So now that there are those opportunities, I think seeing it, watching it, getting involved, going out to the games and watching it online, and just seeing it, what you see, you can be, essentially. So dream big and put in the work to get there is essentially my message.
No, I love it. And I mean, obviously you've been your own biggest cheerleader, and I know there's a lot of other cheerleaders of Desiree Scott out there, including us. Again, my name is DJ Lalama from Bodylogix supplements here up in Canada. proud supporter of Desiree, the Canadian women's national team. But again, moving forward, I'd love to get into a little bit of rapid fire if you're up for it.
Oh, I'm always up for some rapid fire.
Okay, I'll let you get comfortable there for a second. Just for everyone that's on the call, you can actually, if you need to or want to, as Desi's drinking her Bodylogix, if you guys want to get access to Bodylogix, you can actually head over to Desiree Scott's Instagram page. We can also get you using her code if you want to try out any of those favorite products of hers. Again, a great way if you guys are always on the go to make sure that recovery is paramount and at the top of your priority list as you continue to push through your soccer journey. Rapid fire, you good?
I'm ready to rock.
We're hydrated now?
I think so. Good to go.
All right. Favorite city?
Winnipeg.
Okay, outside of Winnipeg, that's an easy one.
Santa Monica.
Oh.
Yeah. Fell in love with the place.
Okay, all right. Fell in love with the tan too, right?
Exactly. The sunshine and the beach for sure.
Right on. All right, favorite movie?
The Notebook. Hopeless Romantic.
Oh my goodness. Okay, favorite TV show?
Schitt's Creek.
Wow. Okay, I didn't expect that one.
Have you seen that?
I have seen it. Parts of it.
Oh my God, it's hilarious. I'm now on the third time watching it 6 seasons through. It's amazing. Watch it if you haven't.
You go. You heard it from Desi. Favorite teammate with Team Canada?
Oh, you're gonna get me in trouble. Christine Sinclair.
Okay, yeah, that's longevity, right? You can't go away from that one.
There's a bond there that's unbreakable, really.
Absolutely. Okay, and favorite teammate with KC?
With KC again. If anyone watches this, I'm gonna go with Katie Bowen, a fellow New Zealander international. We've been teammates for a long time. Good friend of mine.
How's that accent?
I suck at it. I'm not even gonna attempt it.
Fair enough. Okay, if you weren't a soccer player, who would you like? What would you be?
I would love to be a backup dancer, like for Beyonce or something in the back. Just
I can see live on the Bodylogix Instagram page in the next month. You're going to see a dance off with Desiree Scott.
Oh my God. I'm always dancing. So yeah, backup dancer for a singer or something.
Okay, so we already talked about your favorite pregame meal: pancakes, maple syrup, plain pancakes, maple syrup. What is your favorite post-game meal?
One that I should eat or one that I actually enjoy?
Well, I'll let you answer with both. You can answer with both.
Okay, favorite like treat after a game, because you splurge. I love like French fries, like a sweet potato fry. Always yummy. Something just little slices of perhaps. But no, usually like what I do have is like some pasta. The Italian in me. We'll eat some pasta with some chicken and some broccoli. It's usually pretty plain, but like refuels the muscles pretty well.
Fair enough. Biggest superstition?
Not wearing my pink headband on game day.
Ooh.
I'm like not myself. At a World Cup game in 2019, I left my headband at the hotel. We were an hour away. My team went back to go get my headband because I was like crying. I was like, I don't know. Like I'm not the destroyer. I become the destroyer when I put the pink headband on.
There you
so
go.
If I'm not wearing it, it's a problem. Very superstitious.
Okay, now we know. Favorite career moment?
Recent, I have to say, winning the gold medal and standing on the top of the podium, hearing your anthem, seeing your flag rise. That wasn't rapid fire. I'm giving you full sentences. I apologize.
That's totally okay. On that one though, what did it mean to get that medal from Christine?
I mean, unbelievable to have the GOAT, the Christine Sinclair putting like something so historic around my neck, and just knowing our relationship, her past 20 years on the team and how hard she's worked. I mean, it just had come full circle. It was something I'll never forget.
Awesome. Your favorite workout?
Favorite workout? You know what? I actually like what are those things called? You know, like a circuit where you do like some cardio, some strength, where it's all mixed in, sort of like a 45-minute HIIT session.
Okay.
And like a bunch of different exercises, but like short reps, and you're keeping moving. So like, yeah.
Okay. Hit workouts. There you have it.
Get workouts.
On that, what is your favorite Bodylogix product to use before, during, or after that workout?
I love a good decadent chocolate whey protein. I think it's just delicious. It obviously replenishes my muscles because I work out so much. Yeah, and it just tastes good. So yeah, the whey protein.
Decadent chocolate. There you go. That's the flavor of the day. Okay, and we had this question earlier, but I really wanted to save it to last because I think everyone on this call right now looks to you and sees, hey, Desiree Scott is one of, if not my biggest role model. And I think they try and, they look at what you've been able to accomplish. And like you said, they try to dream to be able to achieve something along those lines for themselves. And obviously dreaming, you need to see someone do it before you in a lot of ways to make it seem realistic. Who are those people for you within the game of soccer when you were growing up that you really looked up to?
Well, it started at home in my backyard with my older brother. He obviously didn't play for the national team, but he's the reason I started playing the sport at all. Going to his games, seeing how much he loved it, how good he was. I wanted to be like my big brother. So obviously it was right in the family. And then I remember watching some of women's game wasn't on back then very much, but our national team, the Diana Mathesons of the world, she's a midfielder, similar stature to me. I was like, she's great. That was sort of my first role model on the national team to watch them play and wear those Canada colors. And I watched a lot of Thierry Henry scoring bangers. So really just all of those things culminated for me to, want to play the sport. And I don't score any goals anymore, but I used to.
That's awesome. That was kind of rapid sentence fire, I guess we'll call that. That's a new thing that we'll include moving forward. But again, before we turn it over to the audience here, if you guys want to submit any questions before we head off for the evening, Desiree, I just want to say thank you so much, obviously, for taking the time. I know it's been a whirlwind of 2 years, obviously a whirlwind of a week, playing with the national team and back in KC. But on behalf of our entire Bodylogix team and everyone on the call, I mean, we're super proud of you. You live life the right way, you play the sport the right way, and obviously our entire Bodylogix team is very happy to be in your corner and have you a part of the family. We have a couple people chatting in right now, so I'll direct those questions as soon as we get them in. But maybe in closing, Desi, if you want to just say a bit to the audience and maybe where they can reach out to you for future conversation if they have.
Yeah, totally. Thank you everyone so much for joining myself and the Bodylogix fam. Obviously a huge supporter of mine, so very thankful to Bodylogix for supporting me for the last few years. It's been great, keeping me on the field and recovered in the right way, so I appreciate that. Hopefully I answered some of your questions here today. Obviously I'm an open book, so reach out on social media, DM me, anything like that. Feel free to reach out. I'm an open book. I do have my medal here in case anyone wanted to just get a glimpse. I happen to just have it, so I'll just show that for those who haven't seen it.
Look at that.
Yeah.
How heavy is it?
Whoa, just kidding. No, it's actually surprisingly heavy. Everyone that holds it says, oh, that's heavier than I thought. So I'm super proud of this, but without the fans, the support, sponsors, this isn't possible. So kudos to everyone who supported D. Scott and the career. It's really an honor. So
that's awesome. Thank you, everyone. Feel free to reach out to Desi. Stay tuned, obviously, on the Bodylogix channel as well, because we do have a dance party coming soon featuring Desiree Scott. That is now going to be something that is coming to you live. But again, on behalf of Bodylogix, my name is DJ Lalama. Thank you so much for taking some time this afternoon to join us. A little bit of behind the scenes into what makes Desiree Scott the Destroyer, her road to gold, and everything else soccer. Stay tuned for more special guests on Athletes Answer, and we look forward to seeing you guys soon. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.